Welcome, Coaches Roundtable, and welcome our guest, Butler High School's highly successful basketball coach, Matt Clement. Matt, is it just me, but basketball is around the corner? You open up in another week.
It comes quick, it really does come quick. We're excited. We have a scrimmage coming up here in a week, and a big season with a tip-off tournament where we're facing Latrobe and defending 5A state champs, Erie Prep. So we're jumping into it quick and then right into the section on Tuesday.
Matt, you know what's strange? Look, you won a championship 2 years ago. That seems like it was recent. For whatever reason, last year was so strange, going to games. Last year seems like it was a long time ago with COVID. How difficult was it for you while you had managed your team? I'm sure you had some COVID issues, and then getting your team to come and play in a practically empty gym. What was that like?
Well, I said last year to our guys, us in Newcastle had the biggest disadvantage last year because we bring crowds everywhere we go, and our home crowds are always there, no matter what the circumstance. At least when we've been successful, so they're always there. And not having that, a lot of teams are used to playing with no fans. So that wasn't a big change for them. It was a huge change for us. We draw a lot of energy off them. We take a lot of pride in the fans that come, and that's really a part of. We try to make this team a part of the community. So it was tough. It was difficult. It wasn't the same. You didn't have to yell as loud, and it was still the game, and you still battled through it. But sometimes it kind of felt like scrimmages early in the year. Then you got used to it with the competition level.
Now, looking at last year's section, the NA 8-4, 16-7, you only had the 5 teams are in the section because Central Catholic was taken out. So you were playing each other 3 times. Pine was second, 6-4, 14-6. Seneca Valley 6-5, 11, and then you were fourth, 5-7, 12-9, and you got the higher seed than some of the teams ahead of you in the section. A lot of controversy around that. How are you addressing that?
Well, I think what happened was, and quite frankly, like the way the season ended, us in Seneca Valley won. I thought we deserved to be ahead of them. I wouldn't have been upset anyway, to tell you the truth. But
were you surprised?
Being ahead of Pine in NA, I was very surprised. They won the section. They tied to win the section. They deserve to be ahead of us. If anybody's justifying it, which I'm not, it was I had Rain and Charlie were hurt the whole year, and they were back at the end of the year, and we won a lot of games that third time through the section, and we were kind of the team that was moving along at the end of the year more so than the other teams, and that's why they did it. Again, I've always been a guy, I've been on the other side of that too, where I've had a better record than people and they put us below them. So I understand both ends of the equation. I understand the controversy behind it, and I don't disagree with it, but I also, it's nice that people look at it a lot of different ways too. Well,
very successful year for you. You make it to the semi-final game. The last 5 years you've been in 3 championship games. The great year 2 years ago, led by Ethan Morton and your son and Carney. You go in against USC for your third matchup with them for 2 years. Some of the great games you've had with USC, and they beat you, and they go on to win the title over Pine Richland, who made their 4th championship appearance in 5 years. What a rivalry you have with Pine Richland.
Yeah, and Pine Richland's the school right now, and all sports. They're a lot of people hate them, but
because they win.
Because they win, yeah, and I respect them, and it makes for a fun rivalry, and we take a lot of pride in listen, this section this year, I actually think, as I've thought about it, this is the best section overall, top to bottom, that I've had to play in since I've had the job.
4 key players back. Your son.
Yep.
And Carney, who is committed to Elon, Cranebucker, and Rain.
And Gratzmiller, yes. But everybody has a lot of guys back. this is the heart, and I think the reason this probably tips it over some of the other good sections, because our section is good every year, is we have to play each other 3 times too. So it's going to be a grind to get through this whole thing. The competition level is high. I'm telling you right now, like North Hills, if they didn't have the COVID problems they had last year, they would have been in the middle of that section or maybe in the top of it. They have everybody back, plus the young big guy Parham that's
They're big
coming
up
back.
front, 6'8".
Yeah.
And then they got some shooters in the backcourt. They did struggle last year, had some tough games.
They had some COVID, though.
I think they upset NA.
Yeah, well, they had COVID. Like they had COVID issues 2 or 3 times. They got shut down. Buzz is a great coach, and everybody asked me right away, and I wouldn't be like if North Hills was ranked number 1 to start the year. That wouldn't surprise me. That they have that kind of talent back.
Well, we're excited to do your home games against North Allegheny and Pine Ridge. And I'll never forget the 2 games we did with Pine, your championship year. I remember we talked. I never did a better one than that one down at Pine Ridge. And it's a game. It was just unbelievable, back and forth, and then Morton winning it at the end. They have a number of starters back.
Oh yeah, and when I say North Hills being number 1, Pine Richland's probably going to be number 1. And they have a lot of guys back too. They lost a couple key guys, like we lost a couple key guys. But I think the section in general everybody has a lot of guys back. That's what's going to make it. It's going to make it fun, and that's what you want. You want to compete against the best, and to go against the best 3 times each. Those 12 games are going to be highly competitive for sure. But I have a pretty deep crew back, and it's not just those 4 guys that we talked about. We have a lot of other guys that probably the
come
toughest
off the bench and helped you.
Yes, and probably the tougher thing for me is sorting through. It's going to be sorting through how we're going to there's a lot of competition in practice right now. These practices are very competitive with a lot of guys that are ready to come play.
Let's look at the big change in the section. Dave DiGregorio leaves North Catholic, very successful, won a championship there, comes back to North Allegheny. He was very successful there except for winning a WPL championship. That's the only sport at North Allegheny that has not won a WPL or state championship. That's boys basketball, and that's one of the reasons they brought him back. I think the Tigers are going to be pretty good again this year.
Oh, absolutely. And Dave always, his style and his teams they always play hard. They always can shoot. They always put a lot of pressure on you to make. If you make mistakes, you're going to lose those games. And the times we beat them, I've had really good point guards that could handle a lot of those situations. And I fortunately have 3 or 4 point guards, so hopefully we'll be able to compete with them this year. But no, Dave has a great team and a great his tenure everywhere he's been successful. So that just adds to the fire. Not that NA wasn't good last year, because Dan was a great coach last year also.
Matt, you're entering, I think it's your 13th year. It seems like yesterday you took over. What did you learn early on in the job that maybe surprised you that you had to make adjustments to?
Well, I think it's just the overall structure, and I'm somebody who likes to keep everybody happy. So I keep we were talking before we went on. I keep a lot of people in my program. So finding that this isn't just about this year. For the seniors it is, in the immediate it is, but it's also about what's going on in the next 3 or 4 years to come. If you want to continue to be successful, you can't slip up in our section. NA, Pine, Central's usually in it, and some of these other sports, Seneca Valley, North Hills, you can't slip up. So if you don't keep the lower end of the program going, you might have a successful year this year, but the next year you're going to be back at the bottom of it. And it's just a really, really tough schedule and a really tough section. But, you just have to be organized and keep everybody doing stuff. And sometimes you have 24 people in the gym. That's tough.
Hey, Matt, in the final minute, as a Major League pitcher, I want to switch over to baseball. I know you won 14 games one year. That's more than either Cy Young Award winner this year. What's going on with baseball? It's just driving me crazy. The guys will pitch 6 innings. I think it was a playoff game, a no-hitter with 80 pitches. They take the guy out. The Cy Young Award winner this year in the National League had an 11-5 record. I think Koufax used to win 11 by June back then. What has changed? What's going on? Do you like the way they're doing things now?
Well, I mean, as a starting pitcher, I probably wouldn't. But baseball's changed and it's become very specialized. And the teams that are winning, I talk about it all the time. You can look who's going to be in that in the playoffs and stuff is going to be who has the best bullpen. Because these starters are going 4, 5, 6 innings. Some of them are going one time through the order or one inning or whatever the case may be. And, the The concern is, are these relievers' arms going to be able to hold up doing it the way they're doing and pitching so much? But the best teams have the best bullpens, and the teams that are in at the end, they're firing. You can see it's like a 6-man team they're throwing out there, and the starter's probably the least important of the rotation in those situations. But I mean, both Cy Young Award winners, good stories. I mean, Robbie Ray, who's kind of a journeyman, won it in Toronto, and Corbin Burns, who nobody would have picked those two guys to win it. And they had to win it over Scherzer and some of these guys that are more of the old school grinders that go longer in the game. So good for them.
And Matt, next year in the spring, you need to have you come back. I want to talk more about Major League Baseball. Thanks for joining us. Good luck this year with basketball. We'll be up there to see you soon.
And thanks for all the support with the program. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'll be right back with Al and George.
If you're a team player who loves providing excellent customer service, begin your Armstrong career as a technical support representative. We have full and part-time openings in Butler. Many of our Armstrong supervisors and managers started their careers at our customer service center, and you can too. We have open positions now starting at $17 per hour with great benefits and free broadband services. To apply, visit agoc.com/careers or call Heather today.
I am back, joined to my right by the Swami George Abraham, to my left by the Tiger Albert Campman. Nice to have Matt Clement on. Basketball opens up next week. Can you believe it?
Isn't that awesome? And early in the year, you find out who surprise teams are. Because right now, they play so much in the summer. I asked somebody, they can tell me who the best 5 teams are. In the old days, you could never do that. Yeah. They could tell you right now, here's who's going to win this, who's going to win that.
And we'll be at Butler to do their games with Pine Richland and NA. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Always great games.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Spotlight. PIAA Soccer Championships. Girls 3A, Mars 2, Radnor 1. Goals by Reese Dunaway and Ellie Cooper. Mars' third straight PIAA title. Mars finishes 20-0-1. In their 3-year run, 61-0-2. Congratulations to Coach Blair Gerlach. What a job he's done there. I mean, you talk about greatness. We think of win streaks like UCLA men 88, UConn won 100 women, and then Oklahoma 47 in football in the high school. I mean, this is just, you would think you'd have a bad game in 3 years.
Yeah, we just smile when we hear Mars soccer. That's all we do. We know who's going to win.
And boys 3A title, Hampton won, Archbishop Wood nothing. Zach Panza the winning goal. Hampton finishes 23-1. Panza on a number of occasions had the winning goal in the playoffs, and I think in the WPL championship too.
Some guys just step up.
And in boys 4A, Conestoga won, Seneca Valley nothing. The defending champs finished 21-1. Last 2 years, 2 WPL titles, a PIAA title, and 2 state championship games. Pretty good run for Seneca Valley too.
Run.
I wonder why same teams win in soccer. Is it because of the feeder program, you
I would
think?
guess the youth program.
That's my
Yeah,
guess.
I would think
Down
that,
there at the North Hills, like they said, Saturdays, that's all you see.
Yeah.
Is minivans.
Oh, and you go by Mars,
Yeah.
that's all you see
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's the only guess I have.
No, you're not saying these guys. Obviously, the coaches are good.
Uh-huh.
But the bottom line is, it's like any other. You need a talent, and it appears that they have the feeder system down below. These guys have quite a bit to pick from. When you start knocking off teams like St. Joe's Prep and Radnor and teams like that,
Archbishop
they played
Wood.
soccer down there earlier.
Yeah. Hey, in girls volleyball, talk about a juggernaut, a dynasty. In 4A, North Allegheny wins their 5th straight PIAA title. Only Norman has won more with 8. 3-1 over Parkland under first-year coach and longtime assistant Russ Hoberg. Mia Tuman had 39 assists and 8 kills. Carissa Tresser, 14 kills. Jaden Perkins, 12 kills and 10 blocks. 5 straight PIAAs. 4 WPL titles the last 5 years. 2 losses the last 5 years.
You know what's interesting in that, and George just mentioned it, that makes your mind go the other way. They changed coaches.
Yeah.
And they still won. So I'm telling you.
This is his first year.
I'm telling you, my theme's not never changed. If you change coaches, you still win.
You hear those girls I just mentioned? They're all D1 players.
Dude, that's the other thing. Be up in Mercer County and say somebody's going to Robert Morris.
Right.
So be doing a volleyball game, and Eddie will go, she's going to Louisville, she's going, and I'm like, Ed, this is absurd.
Mia's going to Ohio State.
That's what I'm saying.
One of the things that when you mention this, why I think they do win, is we know the feeder system we talked about, but every girl and every boy wants to play soccer in those places. Every girl and boy wants to play volleyball, and that's their goal. Think about having a goal when you're in fourth grade. I want to play volleyball in North Allegheny. That's
Absolutely,
their,
and for years he would say something. I said, "These volleyball guys, they play volleyball, and they play year round. The boys are the same way."
Yes. Hey, in 3A Hampton, they lost 3-1 to Spring Grove. They finished 18-4, and in 2A North Catholic 3-0 over Camp Hill Trinity. Ellie Fetzko, she had 25 kills, the second PIAA title in the last 3 years for the Trojanettes, and coach Amanda Fetter. They finished the season 20-0. High school football District 9 2A championship, Karn City 35, Ridgeway 7. Running back J.C. Anderson, 126 yards. Next up, I think they have Farrell, 24-6 winners over Westinghouse. I think that game's Friday at Karn City.
Exactly right.
How about that? Playing a game at home on your home field. That's exciting for Karn City. That is.
And
there'll be a crowd, I guarantee you.
Oh, there'll be packed.
My guess was they're the only turf in the district. It's their year to host, so that's clear. But the fact that it's at the high school tells me there aren't any other turf fields.
Yes. And
I wouldn't put that out there too loud and tell Farrell they're playing at home. I don't think they want to give Farrell any more impetus.
No. District 10 3A, Grove City 28, Slippery Rock 20. Grove City 10-2, Slippery Rock 7-2. Slippery Rock quarterback William Mokel threw for 183 yards. Wide receiver John Sabo had 8 for 83. And Grove City High School running back Anthony Nemec rushed for 134. And quarterback Hunter Homan threw for 142. So I guess they're going to await the winner of the Central Valley North Catholic game.
No, Martinsburg Central.
Yeah, is that who it will be?
At the Rock.
At the Rock. Okay, going the other way.
And they'll be underdog in that game, by the way.
What's that?
Martinsburg Central will be the favorite in that game.
Well,
that'll be a nice upset. If Grove City can win that game, it'll be a nice upset.
The kid has the most touchdowns.
55 touchdowns,
in the state.
Amazing.
Hey, Eddie, they put a team out there last year in baseball. 2 guys in the majors and a 9th grader hit a home run out over the, when you start climbing over the fence in 9th grade.
Amazing. District 9 1A, Red Bank Valley 28, Union AC Valley 21. Quarterback Brody Dittman threw for 151 yards. Wide receiver Ryan Cooper 6 for 93. Union AC Valley, their best year ever. They finished 9-3. WPL football 6A championship, no contest. Mount Lebanon blows out Central Catholic 47-7. Next up for Mount Lebanon 12-0. They take on McDowell 9-2. 5A semis, Penn Trafford 24, Pine Richland 6. Pine finishes 7-5. The championship, a rematch between Penn Trafford and Moon, undefeated 12-0. Moon won that regular season game, I think, by 2 points, like 28-26.
Should be a good game.
And 4A, Bell Vernon 10-0 versus Aliquippa 10-1. Boy, who do you pick in this game?
Bell Vernon's a better team this year.
Yeah.
But never.
Cut out the
No,
Quips.
never.
They
They're amazing. No, they're amazing.
And
Hey, good news, too. Quips makes me think of moving up. Farrell does not have to move up to 3A next year regardless.
Yeah, the Quips are staying in 4. Central could drop to 5 in football, but they're staying in 6. Central Valley in 3A, 12-0 versus North Catholic 12-0, the only undefeated teams to meet in the championship. North Catholic defeated Avonworth 7-0. Quarterback Joey Prentice on a 1-yard run. He threw for 181 yards, and wide receiver Tyler Miseri 6 for 59. The week before, North Catholic won 48-41. Now they win 7-0. They got their hands filled with Central Valley, but hey, they're there.
Yeah, and that's when North Catholic has to approach that game.
Yeah.
That we have nothing to lose in this one.
Go.
Yeah,
Play loose.
Yeah,
Hey,
yes.
you can't win it if you're not there.
Right.
And Peking, Beaver Falls, 9-3. They knock off undefeated Still Valley. They'll take on Sarah Catholic 13-1. And in 1A, the giant killer, Olsh. They beat the number 1 seed Clareton, the number 2 seed Rochester. They're 9-3. They play Bishop Canada.
I saw Olds with my own eyes, and they have an excellent wide receiver and a couple good linemen. So, in single A, that's unique.
How do they compare to the team that beat Reynolds, Northern Bedford?
I never seen Northern Bedford, so I'm not
You
sure.
have an idea?
No,
Reynolds,
I don't.
It's
I have no
hard.
idea.
It's hard when you don't see
I think
them.
9th grader had some huge catches for them in that game.
Northern Bedford did. They
Yeah.
did.
College football, Pitt wins the Coastal by beating Virginia 48-38. I'd like to say it was a slugfest, but it was more of a throw fest. Kenny Pickett, 340 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Wide receiver Jordan Addison, 4 TDs. 14 catches, 202 yards. Excuse me. Virginia quarterback Brennan Armstrong, 487 yards, 3 touchdowns, interception. They put up over 500 yards of offense. So Pitt 9-2, number 17 AP. If they win at 5-6, Syracuse be their first regular season 10 wins since 1981. I think candy bars were still a nickel back then.
Been saying all along they're very good because of Pickett. You know, you don't get a player like
There's
that.
a key. Without Pickett, I think they're a 500
Oh
team.
yeah,
Well,
not
yeah.
a thought.
No, but hey, biggest play in my mind, the kick return.
Always happens.
Virginia had
huge.
some mojo.
Yeah.
They kicked off. Boom.
Don't do it, guys.
And listen, I know you beat Syracuse. Sounds like it's easy. They're the number 7 rushing team in the country. I know they don't have much of a passing game, but look at down how many we've seen Pitt. They beat Tennessee, lost to Western Michigan.
Well,
Beat
Syracuse-
Clemson, lost to Miami.
Syracuse has won so many big games at that dome.
Yeah, and-
Don't ever think
And
that that's
why they
gonna
have
be easy.
motivation, right? Another win, it's a bowl game
Yes.
for them.
It's a Saturday night ACC game, by the way. I mean, the network.
Well, let's look at the possible title game for Pitt. If Wake Forest beats BC, it's Wake Forest. If BC beats Wake Forest, North Carolina State beats North Carolina, it's Pitt and North Carolina State. If BC beats Wake Forest, North Carolina beats North Carolina
listen to this.
State, hello Clemson.
Right.
I don't think Pitt wants to play Clemson or North Carolina State. What they have in common with Wake Forest is this. They're both at the bottom, past the fence. In the country, Pitt's 110th. Wake Forest is lower than that. They're both at the bottom in the ACC. This would be one of those games you say first to 60.
First to 16, absolutely.
Pitt's defense
Over
is
under
just-
77.
I think Pitt's better than all of them. How about that?
I don't think
truly-
defensively.
I don't say defensively. I
Yeah.
just said as a team.
Yeah.
Pitt's better than all of them. I truly believe that.
Clemson.
They have
is-
no Picketts. Nobody has a Pickett in
Clemson
that
is
group.
trending right now. I think that's the one team they don't want to play. That's just my
Well,
opinion.
they've scored 130 the last 4 games.
Who's that?
Clemson. So they must have done something.
And Pitt, in 5 of their games, they've given up an average of 37 points and like 450 to 500 yards in offense. I think North Carolina State and Clemson are better balanced than Wake Forest, but Wake Forest is going to score on Pitt.
Oh, that's part of college football.
Yeah.
You're not seeing. You're seeing a 6-0 game. That's an aberration.
No,
Pitt
no.
beat Clemson and whooped them. They only had 13 points against Pitt. When Clemson scored against these last 4 teams. I'm really impressed with Pitt. I thought Virginia played the game of their life and still couldn't beat Pitt.
I agree, but if you were to ask Narduzzi, you don't want to play a
That's
team,
tough. That is tough.
a team that's trending and you were already beat. They got so much motivation
true.
to get ready for it.
Beat them at home, too, don't forget.
Hey, Division II playoffs, Notre Dame of Ohio 33, Slippery Rock 25. Notre Dame of Ohio rushed for 278 yards. Quarterback Noah Grover, he threw for 336 at TD, but 3 interceptions. He's thrown 6 picks in the last 2 games. Wide receiver Sinku Sweeting, 9 receptions, 164 yards. The Rock finishes 9-3 in his senior class, 41-10, a great run.
Yeah, great run. Cal all year, and then Slip Rock whooped them. And you got to give Slip Rock credit that
Yeah.
they have it
Yes.
going there. They have a tradition going that
Yeah,
is run away.
absolutely.
Yeah. Huh?
Ohio State 56, Michigan State 7, just no content. And they're talking about giving
100 million.
Tucker, 100 million?
He's getting it. They're offering the guy from Oklahoma 120 to come
Big.
to LSU.
Big mistake. Then they turn. What's wrong with 5-year contracts? 10 years, you get. As soon as he has 1 or 2 bad seasons, they'll want him out.
Hey,
Crazy.
what happened to 2 and 3 million? When did that become a lousy
I
salary?
understand.
Where did that come from?
Hey, Oregon's out. They got whipped 38
Wow.
to 7 by Utah. The top 6, you have Georgia with Georgia Tech coming up, Ohio State at Michigan, Cincy with East Carolina, Alabama. That's got by Arkansas 42-35. They're at Auburn. Notre Dame 10-1. They're number 5. They're at Stanford. They have a school record 5 straight 10-win seasons. Michigan and Oklahoma State right behind.
That's right. And right, all year Georgia has been the powerhouse. That's the team
Yes.
that's been the best
That-
team.
You know, there's a small scenario that isn't that improbable. Michigan beats Ohio State, loses to Wisconsin, could happen easily. And then in the other game, Cincinnati loses to Houston. They'll need volunteers for the 4th spot.
That'd be crazy. Hey, the NFL, the Steelers lose to the Chargers 41-37 on a wild game. The Chargers were up 27-10 and then 34-20. And then it looked like the Steelers had the game won. And then Justin Herbert threw the 53-yard touchdown pass in the last 2 minutes to Mike Williams. Not sure what happened on that play. He was wide open. The Chargers crushed the Steelers with 533 yards of offense. You know, Herbert could have thrown for maybe 500. What'd they drop? 5 or 6 of his passes. He threw for 382, ran for 90.
That's a big game. Boy.
Austin Eckler, 9 carries, 50 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 receivings, 2. When I look at the Steelers' offense, and Ben did a good job, 273, but they've become a finesse offense. Shuffle passes on a goal line. What else did they try?
Just don't have an offensive line, and that's what that's
they
the
become
theme
finesse.
of this week's. If you watch the NFL like all three of us do, the theme is that simple. If you have an offensive line, you win. If you don't, ask Buffalo against
Jet just
Indianapolis.
sweeps on the 3-yard line.
Yeah, they have to though. They can't run. They can't do anything.
And Najee Harris, 39 yards rushing. I have to say to Mike Tomlin, why aren't you giving this kid a break? He's going to have over 400 touches this year.
He's going to Earl Campbell when he's 40.
He's going to have a short NFL career.
Oh.
He took a beating against the Chargers
That's what
the other
happens.
night.
That's what happens when you have an offensive line like that.
And we look around the league and we talk about injuries. Hey, Baltimore, they're 7-3. They've lost 7 starters, all 3 running backs, all pro tackle Ronnie Stanley. Lamar Jackson doesn't play, and Tyler Hunt. He brings them back from the jaws of defeat to a victory.
Yeah,
that was amazing. It really was.
On the road, minute and a half.
It's the Bears, so that's why.
Yeah.
It's the Bears.
And run around the NFL, you talk about the Bills. They're one-dimensional. They're indifferent to the run. Let's look what's happening. It makes me feel so good. The NFL running game is back. The Colts run for 264. The Eagles 242. Washington 190. The Browns 184. Cincy 159. And I see teams using fullbacks. And New England has won 5 in a row. Stop the run, and they run the ball.
If you have a defense, you can run the ball. And all the teams you just mentioned have good defenses. So there's nothing wrong with trying to win 17-10, 24. But if you don't have a defense, you have to throw the ball. I mean, there's no chance.
Then it makes your defense come back more.
But teams are winning. It's funny. They're strong running games, powerful running
offensive
games.
lines.
Eats the clock.
Offensive
but,
line.
It's a return to yesteryear, a run to daylight. I love to see it, and I'm seeing more teams saying, "Hey, we're going to put a fullback in there too for lead blocker." And a lot of the Steelers have a fullback. They never use him. That's why I say they're a finesse team.
Indianapolis, no fullback.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, no. You're wrong, Eddie. Philadelphia,
no. There are a number of teams that are using
no number.
the
Couple.
fullback.
You named a couple.
Yeah.
Out of
Well,
32
you
teams,
look.
And that Eagles thing, don't forget.
Cincinnati, no fullback.
Hurts is responsible
That's 3.
for a lot of that.
No, it's all running. It's all
But short yardage. There are fullbacks. You check it out.
Oh, maybe.
This
Okay,
week.
maybe short yardage. You're
Yeah,
right.
that's what I'm saying.
I'm talking about
We're
200 yards rushing ain't on short yardage. They're running the ball.
But
with
I haven't
fullbacks.
seen this kind of running in a long time in the NFL. What I'm seeing with a lot of teams, and when they got these huge play sheets, how can you perfect all these plays? Some of the teams that all these
Andy Reid started that, and they're copycat league.
Reed's is a menu, though. It's from Golden Corral. Don't be
Yeah,
fooled by that.
I believe it. Hey, thanks for joining us. We have run out of time. We'll see you next week.